This is All India Radio. You will now hear comments from the press. The Pioneer, in its editorial titled "This is no endgame," says as Maharashtra hurtles towards presidential rule, it has shown how a valid electoral verdict and ethics can be subverted by political greed of the day. Not only that, it shows how a centrist party, no matter what the verdict instates, can use the offices under its purview to turn any result in its favor and justify its act as only following a precedent of Congress or its coalition governments at the centre instead of correcting it. Although the BJP and Shiv Sena had worked out a pre-poll alliance which was even endorsed by voters, the former's arrogance as the lead partner and the latter's insistence on an equal role tore it apart. The former willingly let its junior partner drift away and challenged its ability to prop up an alternative coalition. The Sena tried its best, but with ideological divergences, paring down its chances of forming a stable government with the opposition Congress, Nationalist Congress Party, NCP. It is out in the cold without the numbers. No matter how tempting the opportunity to use the electoral window to jump into governance, the Congress and the NCP are looking beyond local legislators to the larger impropriety of convenience tarnishing their national image. The BJP, which is a keen believer of one-party homogeneity across the nation, is having the last laugh as the only possible choice. The Tribune, in its editorial titled "Burning Issue," writes, notwithstanding the Supreme Court's pointedly scathing directive last week to the Punjab Chief Secretary to ensure that no other farmer resorts to stubble burning to prepare his fields for the next crop, the noxious practice continues unabated. Apparently, the government has not taken effective enough measures to stop the raging fires. The situation on the ground remains pretty much the same, even as such alternative schemes as enabling the agriculturists to opt for happy seeders and other tools or monetary incentives for farmers are bandied about. The state machinery must be galvanized to its fullest to perform the various tasks it is entrusted with, including the disbursal of a relief of 100 rupees per quintal of crop residue to the peasants or taking penal action against those setting their fields ablaze in violation of norms. Only then can there be hope for a breather from the poisonous gases defiling the air. The Indian Express, in its editorial titled "A Deeper Dark," says on Monday data from the National Statistics Office showed that industrial production contracted by 4.3% in September, the lowest in the current series. Over the course of the entire second quarter, the Index of Industrial Production IIP has contracted by 0.4% after growing by 3% in the previous quarter. Of the 23 subsectors within manufacturing, 17 contracted in September, up from 15 in the previous month, suggesting that the contraction is deeper and more widespread. The worsening performance of the consumer durables as well as the non-durables segment, indicative of subdued household demand, has dashed hopes of restocking of inventories prior to the festive season. Equally worrying, the capital goods segment, which connotes investment demand, contracted by 16.8% in the second quarter, indicating that investment activity continues to be depressed. The Asian Age, in its editorial titled "An Exemplary Officer," says a senior bureaucrat's vision and actions in cleaning up our electoral process gave India's democracy its vibrant image. As Joseph Stalin had once said, it's not the people who vote that count, it's the people who count the votes. Tirunelli Narayanayar session established not only the credibility of the counting, but also of the entire electoral process. Things may have changed of late, as pliable chief election commissioners seem to have regained the tendency to favor ruling party honchos as they are invested with the power of the people's vote. It was the administrator with a booming bark that brought him the honorific of Alsatian, who re-established the integrity of the election process and propelled it towards the full EVM era. If doubts linger in India's poll process, it is beyond the efforts of men like Sukumar, Session and Lingdo, who lent the Election Commission its true stature and authority. The Economic Times, in its editorial titled "Cheerful Tiding for India's Startups," writes the Bengaluru-based research arm of a medical devices company based in Maryland, US, has developed under the leadership of an Indian inventor, Dr. Raja Vijay Kumar, a whole-body magnetic resonance-based therapeutic medical device that beneficially changes the way tissues grow and die, particularly in tumors, and it has been designated as a breakthrough device by the US Food and Drug Administration. Those were the comments from the press presented to you by the News Services Division of All India Radio.
This broadcast came to